On a snowy morning in Cleveland, Ohio, Melissa Collins gazed out the kitchen window and let out a deep sigh. She had been feeling down these past few days as Christmas approached. "Mom, look. I finished all the Christmas cards." Melissa turned around to the cheerful voice and saw her daughter Amy proudly holding up handmade cards. 10-year-old Amy was Melissa's only comfort and hope in life. "They're lovely, Amy. Grandma and Grandpa will be delighted," Melissa said, but anxiety swirled inside her. 5 years after her divorce, her relationship with her ex-husband Thomas had dwindled to nothing more than exchanges about child support. Her salary as an accountant at a local accounting firm was modest, leaving little after paying rent and living expenses each month. "Amy, did you eat breakfast? Don't be late today, it's the last day of school." "I already ate. We're having a Christmas party today. I'm so excited." Looking at Amy's innocent smile, Melissa felt mixed emotions. During the Christmas break, the whole family would gather at her parents' house. Her sister Vanessa and her family would be there too. Vanessa had married a wealthy lawyer and lived in a luxurious mansion in Cleveland's upscale suburbs. Her 12-year-old son Jason was always dressed in the latest designer brands. While Melissa was forced to buy clothes from second-hand stores, Jason's clothes always bore the names of famous designers. "Mom, do you think I'll get to play with Jason at Grandma's house? He seemed busy last time." Melissa forced a smile. "Yes, I'm sure you will. Jason would be happy to get one of your handmade cards too." In reality, Jason rarely played with Amy. At the last family gathering, Jason had been engrossed in his latest gaming device and hadn't even glanced at Amy. And it wasn't just a problem between the children. Melissa's parents, Martha and Frank, clearly favored Vanessa's family. "Vanessa is smart" and "Vanessa is beautiful" were phrases Melissa had heard since childhood. Years of being treated as second best, as the inferior one, had left indelible scars on Melissa's heart. And now, Melissa was witnessing Amy receiving the same treatment. Gifts from her grandparents were always more modest and inexpensive compared to Jason's, as if to say, "You live simply, so you don't need luxurious things." Melissa stared at the small paper bag on the kitchen counter. She had dipped into her meager savings to buy a cute sweater for Amy. Though not expensive, it was a special gift chosen in Amy's favorite color and pattern. "Amy, it's time for school. Put on your coat, it's cold outside." "Okay. Mom, I can't wait for Christmas. I'm looking forward to seeing Grandma and Grandpa." Every time Melissa saw Amy's innocent smile, her heart ached. Her daughter didn't yet fully understand the discriminatory treatment from her grandparents. Melissa desperately wanted to protect Amy's pure feelings. "Yes, it'll be fun," Melissa answered with the best smile she could muster. On Christmas morning, Melissa's apartment was filled with the warm aroma of freshly baked cookies. Amy had been up before dawn, baking special cookies for her grandparents and cousin. The cookies, carefully cut into stars and Christmas trees by Amy's small hands, were decorated with colorful icing. "Mom, look. I wrote everyone's name on them," Amy said proudly. "I made Grandpa and Grandma's extra big." Melissa felt her heart tighten at her daughter's pure thoughtfulness. "That's wonderful, Amy. Everyone will love them." As they got into the car, Amy carefully placed the box of handmade cards and cookies on her lap. Melissa checked the gift bags in the back seat and took a deep breath, hoping this Christmas would be at least somewhat peaceful. "Mom, the snow is beautiful. It's just like a Christmas card." The journey took them from the city to the upscale suburbs, where a silver-white world spread before them. After retirement, Melissa's parents lived a relatively wealthy life, and their house was elaborately decorated with Christmas lights. Vanessa's luxury SUV was already parked in the driveway. "Look, your aunt's family is already here," Melissa said, and Amy smiled happily. When they opened the front door, warm air and the sight of a magnificent Christmas tree greeted them. In the living room, Vanessa's family had already taken the places of honor. Vanessa was dressed in the latest designer dress, while her husband Bradley wore what looked like an expensive cashmere sweater. Jason was engrossed in his new tablet, not even bothering to look up. "Melissa, you've finally arrived," her mother Martha said with slight irritation. "You're late. We've been waiting for an hour." "I'm sorry, the roads were a bit busy," Melissa apologized, holding Amy's hand. "Grandma, here's a present. I made cookies for you." Amy held out her box. Martha frowned slightly at the misshapen cookies. "Thank you, Amy," she said with a forced smile and set the cookies on a side table. "Let's start the gift exchange," Melissa's father Frank announced. "Let's begin with Jason." Jason's mountain of presents was opened one after another. The latest gaming console, expensive brand-name clothes, high-end sneakers, a smartwatch. The room was filled with Jason's cheers and the adults' exclamations of admiration. "Grandpa, Grandma, thank you. This is exactly what I wanted." Jason held up his new gaming console. "Of course, only the best for our precious grandson," Martha beamed. Next came the presents for Vanessa and Bradley. An expensive wine set, designer accessories, spa gift certificates. "As expected, Dad, you know my taste so well," Vanessa said with satisfaction. Then it was Melissa's turn to nervously present her gifts to her parents. "This is for both of you," she offered a neatly wrapped box containing a quality tea set she had chosen with her limited budget. "Ah, thank you," Frank glanced at the box and promptly set it aside. Martha showed no particular interest either. Then it was Amy's turn. "Amy, this is from Grandma," Martha handed her a large paper bag. Amy's eyes sparkled as she opened the bag, but what emerged was clearly a pile of worn-out clothes. Faded shirts, ill-fitting pants, misshapen sweaters. All were Jason's hand-me-downs. "Mom, this is..." Melissa was at a loss for words. "New clothes are a luxury," Martha said firmly. "Jason's hand-me-downs are just right for Amy. You should be grateful, they're designer brands." "That's right," Frank added with a snicker. "With your standard of living, you couldn't afford these. These suit you better." The room's atmosphere instantly chilled. Amy's expression clouded, and her small shoulders drooped. But she quickly forced a smile and said, "Thank you," in a small voice. Vanessa wore a satisfied smile and placed a hand on her son's shoulder. "See, Jason. Your old clothes are going to good use for Amy. Doesn't that make you feel good?" Jason looked up briefly, replied with a bored "Oh, yes," and returned his attention to his gaming device. Melissa's heart filled with anger and sadness. But she suppressed her emotions for her daughter's sake. "Amy, I have a present for you too," she carefully handed her daughter the small package containing the sweater she had chosen. Amy quietly opened the package and took out the soft blue sweater. "Wow, Mom, it's beautiful. Thank you." She showed a genuine smile. Afterward, Amy silently went through the clothes in the paper bag one by one. Suddenly, her eyes lit up. "Mom, look. This scarf and jacket are really cute." Melissa was surprised. Among the pile of clothes were indeed a few designer pieces that, though slightly worn, were of good quality. "This design. I have an idea," Amy murmured. During the meal, Amy was strangely quiet. She barely ate, continuing to sketch something in a small notebook. Melissa looked at her daughter with concern several times, but Amy smiled and whispered, "I'm fine." On the way home, snow had begun to fall quietly. The car was wrapped in silence until Amy suddenly spoke. "Mom, I want to remake these clothes. I think I can turn them into new designs." Melissa looked at her daughter in surprise. "Remake them?" "Yes," Amy answered with determination. "Grandma said new clothes are a luxury, right? But making old clothes new isn't a luxury. I've always been interested in fashion." Melissa was speechless. Seeing the light of determination in her daughter's eyes, she felt that something was about to change. The day after Christmas break, Melissa was sipping coffee in the kitchen, ruminating on yesterday's events. Amid her mixed feelings of hurt and indignation, she noticed small sounds coming from her daughter's room. When she gently opened Amy's door, an astonishing sight greeted her. The floor was covered with Jason's hand-me-downs from the day before. Amy sat at a small desk, cutting something with a serious expression. On the desk was a small sewing machine Melissa had found at a garage sale years ago. "Amy, what are you doing?" "Mom, look." Amy turned around excitedly. "I'm taking the pockets and buttons off this jacket and combining them with this shirt. It makes a completely different outfit." Melissa peered at her daughter's work and was amazed. Indeed, the pockets from what was once a shabby designer jacket were being cleverly placed on another shirt, creating an entirely new design. Though the stitches were a bit clumsy, Amy's passion showed in every seam. "Amy, did you really come up with this yourself?" "Yes." Amy showed her notebook filled with sketches drawn by her young hand. "I studied YouTube videos. Look, I combined this jacket with a scarf to make a new design." Melissa was speechless. Her 10-year-old daughter was turning what could be considered an insulting gift into a source of creativity. She quietly sat down beside Amy and asked, "Will you teach me?" For the rest of the Christmas break, the two disassembled and remade Jason's hand-me-downs together. Melissa borrowed old sewing books from the library in her spare time, and they studied together. Amy's ideas were innovative, with unexpected combinations breathing new life into the clothes. "Mom, it's finished." On the final day of the break, Amy proudly held up her first remake. What was once a worn-out polo shirt had been cleverly combined with scarf material, transforming into a blouse that balanced childlike cuteness with grown-up sophistication. "Amy, this is wonderful," Melissa said, genuinely moved. "It would definitely be a hit if you wore it to school." "Really?" Amy's eyes sparkled. "Can I wear this tomorrow then?" The next day, while facing a mountain of paperwork at her desk, Melissa couldn't stop thinking about her daughter. Amy had gone to school wearing the outfit she designed herself. How would the other children react? Would they tease her? In the afternoon, when Melissa checked her smartphone, the PTA group chat was buzzing. Everyone was talking about Amy's clothes. "That blouse was lovely. Where did you buy it? It looks like it's from a boutique. My daughter says she wants one too." Melissa's heart swelled with surprise and joy. When she got home, Amy greeted her with a radiant smile. "Everyone complimented me. Even the teacher said, 'That's very stylish.'" That night, Melissa made a decision. She picked up her smartphone and posted photos of Amy's designed clothes on social media. The next morning, Melissa was amazed at the response. The post had received many likes, and the comments section was filled with words of praise. During her lunch break at the accounting firm, Melissa quickly opened her laptop and began researching upcycling. She learned that upcycling, reusing old clothes and materials to create something new and valuable, was gaining attention with rising environmental awareness. Feeling a glimmer of hope, she searched for local fashion design classes. "Amy, Would you like to go to a fashion design class on Saturday? Melissa suggested that night. I think it could help develop your talent. Really? I'd love to. Amy jumped up in excitement. The following weekend, Amy shone at the fashion design class at the local art center. The instructor, Linda, a former professional designer, immediately recognized Amy's talent. It's incredible, this child has real talent, Linda told Melissa. Especially this sense of combining elements, many adult designers don't possess it. Meanwhile, Melissa began seriously considering turning her daughter's designs into a business, using her accounting knowledge. She used her evenings and weekends to research how to launch a small online shop and studied the upcycled fashion market. She made a small investment and created a website. Under the brand name Amy's Renewals, she began selling clothes redesigned by Amy. The first products were just 5 pieces made from the clothes received at Christmas. Mom, will our clothes actually sell? Amy was half skeptical. I don't know, Amy. But I think it's worth trying, Melissa answered. Let's show your talent to the world. Amazingly, the first 5 pieces sold out within 24 hours. Messages of praise flowed in from buyers, along with inquiries about when the next collection would be available. Overwhelmed but excited, Melissa and Amy began to think about their next steps. We need to collect more second-hand clothes, Melissa said. Let's check out the local recycling shops. By spring, Amy's Renewals was growing steadily. It was even featured in the local newspaper as an eco-friendly fashion brand launched by a 10-year-old girl. Melissa gradually reduced her accounting work hours to dedicate more time to her daughter's business. We might be reaching our limit, Melissa murmured one night while preparing shipments. I can't handle it all by myself anymore. At that moment, unexpected news arrived. Melissa's company was facing financial difficulties and she was on the list for layoffs. At first, she felt fear, but soon realized this might be an opportunity. Amy, Mom has made a big decision, Melissa told her daughter, holding the severance notice. I've decided to focus fully on our business. Let's turn Amy's Renewals into a proper brand. Amy happily jumped into her mother's arms. Yay! We can design together every day. Meanwhile, things were changing at Vanessa's house. Bradley's investments had failed, forcing them to give up their luxury car and lavish vacations. Jason wanted to maintain his extravagant lifestyle, creating tension in the household. In the midst of this, Martha called Melissa. Melissa, I heard about your business. It's wonderful. We've always supported you, you know. Frank also came on the line. That's right. We were trying to foster your independence. You understand, don't you? Melissa smiled wryly at her parents' transparent attitude on the other end of the phone. Years of discriminatory treatment were now being reframed as support, which she found bitterly ironic. Dad, Mom, Amy, and I are doing fine now. We don't need your support, she said firmly and hung up. Amy, from now on, we'll move forward with just our own strength, Melissa smiled at her daughter. We don't need to rely on anyone's hand-me-downs. Amy looked up at her mother with a confident smile. Mom, our clothes aren't someone's discards. They're treasures. Hearing those words, Melissa thought of a new tagline, from hand-me-downs to treasures, that was the essence of their brand. Amy's Renewals steadily gained national attention as a pioneer in sustainable fashion. Offers from major retailers began coming in, and Melissa and Amy's lives changed dramatically from that Christmas humiliation in ways they could never have imagined. 3 years after the success of Amy's Renewals, in December, Melissa was looking out the window of her new suburban home at the accumulating snow. Reflecting on their journey so far filled her with emotion. The business that began with one girl's creativity and one mother's determination had grown into a nationally recognized sustainable fashion brand. They had established a business model of collecting second-hand clothes and, together with a design team, transforming them into unique, one-of-a-kind pieces. Melissa's new house was incomparably larger, brighter, and warmer than her previous apartment. "Mom, what do you think of this?" Turning around, she saw Amy holding up a sketchbook. Amy was now popular at school and had become something of a fashion icon among her classmates. The media called her a young revolutionary in sustainable fashion, praising her pure vision and creativity. "It's wonderful, Amy," Melissa looked over her daughter's design. "Perfect for the spring collection." After a quiet moment, Melissa voiced something she had been thinking about for a long time. "Amy, I'm thinking of hosting a holiday party this year. I want to invite the whole family." Amy looked up with a surprised expression. "Grandpa and Grandma too? And Aunt Vanessa's family?" "Yes. Everyone," Melissa said with determination. "Let's celebrate Christmas together in our new home." Melissa sent out invitations. They were on special, Amy's renewals, paper, hand-decorated by Amy. The responses came quickly. Everyone would attend. On Christmas Eve, the new house was decorated magnificently. Melissa had hired a party planner to create an eco-friendly theme. Ornaments made from recycled materials, food prepared with organic ingredients, and table settings adorned with Amy's renewals, brand colors of green and gold. "I'm a little scared about them coming," Melissa confided to Amy while looking in the mirror before the party started. "It'll be okay," Amy smiled with confidence. "We're strong now." The doorbell rang, and the first guests arrived. Martha and Frank stood at the door, clearly nervous. They both looked older than they had 3 years ago. "Melissa, thank you for inviting us," Martha said in a small voice. She was holding a small gift bag. "Please come in," Melissa welcomed them calmly. Next, Vanessa's family arrived. Their change was obvious. Vanessa was dressed more modestly, without her usual high-end brands. Beside her was not her husband Bradley, but an unfamiliar man. "Melissa, this is Mike, my new partner," Vanessa introduced him awkwardly. Jason, with typical teenage surliness, stood behind his mother. He exchanged only obligatory greetings without looking up from his smartphone. The party started, but a subtle tension hung in the air. Melissa's parents sat at the edge of the room, looking uncomfortable despite being impressed by the lavish decorations. Vanessa was conversing quietly with Mike, occasionally glancing at Melissa. During the meal, Melissa lightly tapped her glass to begin a speech. "Everyone, thank you for coming. Today is a special day. Amy's Renewals is celebrating its 3rd anniversary as a national brand." As the atmosphere grew even more tense, Melissa continued. "Actually, this business started from the Christmas 3 years ago. The hand-me-downs Amy received changed our lives." Melissa signaled to Amy. Amy stood up and walked toward a draped display case in the center of the party room. As she slowly pulled away the cloth, it revealed Jason's hand-me-downs from 3 years ago displayed alongside the first pieces that had been remade from them. Vanessa blushed, Frank cleared his throat. Martha covered her mouth with her hand, and Jason, for the first time, looked up from his smartphone and stared at the display case. "These clothes were the beginning of our story," Amy spoke with a confident voice. "What's trash to one person can be treasure to another." In the silent room, Melissa brought out large present boxes and began distributing them to each family member. "These are our Christmas presents to you. A special collection designed by Amy." Her parents and Vanessa's family silently opened their presents. Inside were high-quality upcycled clothes specially designed for each of them. Each piece reflected the personality of its recipient. "We don't need hand-me-downs," Melissa said quietly, but powerfully. "From now on, I want you all to know the joy of receiving something new." Amy added, "Grandma said new clothes are a luxury, right? But today is special, so it's okay to indulge." Tears welled in Martha's eyes, and Frank looked down in embarrassment. Vanessa stood frozen with an expression that mixed shock and regret. Only Jason was genuinely interested in examining the custom-designed jacket he held. "Amy, this is really nice," Jason offered a rare sincere opinion. "Thank you," Amy smiled. "I designed it especially for you." As the night wore on, Vanessa approached Melissa. "Melissa, She struggled to find words. "I'm proud of you. But more than that, I'm sorry for everything I've done to you and Amy over the years." Melissa looked into her sister's eyes. There was an honest emotion there that she hadn't seen in years. "Vanessa, we all make mistakes. What matters is what we learn from them." Toward the end of the party, Martha took Melissa's hand. "I'm proud of you, Melissa. And I want to apologize for our attitude." Frank nodded. "You were always special. We just failed to see it." Melissa looked at her parents. Complete forgiveness hadn't yet come, but tonight was a night of new beginnings. "We can't change the past. But the future is different. For Amy, for you, for all of us, there's a second chance." As snow quietly accumulated outside, the party guests departed. Amy stood by the window, gazing at the white landscape outside. "Hey Mom, it's strange, isn't it? 3 years ago, I was sad about receiving hand-me-downs. But now, without that, we might not be here today." Melissa put her arm around her daughter's shoulders. "That's how life is, Amy. Sometimes the most painful experiences can become the most valuable gifts." The two gazed at the snowy scene, contemplating the new chapter ahead of them. Christmas morning, light reflected off the snow and streamed into the living room of Melissa's house. A year had passed since that holiday party, and Melissa and Amy's lives had become even more fulfilling. Amy's renewals had grown into an international brand, and Amy, though only 14, had won worldwide awards as a pioneer in sustainable fashion. Melissa had established a nonprofit organization and begun teaching design and business skills to underprivileged children. "Everyone's coming soon, right?" Amy asked as she arranged the presents piled under the Christmas tree. "Yes, they'll be here soon," Melissa answered with a warm smile. Over the past year, their relationship with the family had been gradually mending. After her divorce, Vanessa was rebuilding her career as a lawyer and becoming a more humble and caring person. She and Melissa now talked on the phone once a week. "Melissa, I was wrong for years," Vanessa confessed during last week's call. "I sincerely apologize for what I did to you and Amy." Her parents, Martha and Frank, had changed too. They regularly visited Amy and helped with workshops in her design studio. Martha had resumed her abandoned sewing hobby from her youth, and Frank helped with Amy's renewals deliveries several times a week. "We didn't value you properly," Martha said tearfully the other day. "Please forgive us." The doorbell rang, and the first guests arrived. When Melissa opened the door, Vanessa and Jason were standing there. Jason had started an internship at Amy's Renewals last month and was beginning to take an interest in sustainable fashion. He enjoyed talking about design collaborations with Amy. Her parents arrived next, and the living room filled with warm family atmosphere. "Now that everyone's here," Melissa raised her glass. "Let's toast to new beginnings and growing together." As everyone clinked glasses, Amy added, "and to cherishing each other, and recognizing the value that everyone has. Melissa looked around at her family. She had chosen to let go of past pain completely and build new relationships. We can't change the past. But the future is different. For Amy, for you, for all of us, there's a second chance. As the Christmas meal progressed, laughter and conversation filled the room. In an atmosphere where everyone was equally loved and respected, a true family Christmas had been realized. While helping with the cleanup, Amy approached her mother. "Hey Mom, I'm grateful for those hand-me-downs. Without them, we might not be here today." Melissa embraced her daughter and replied, "Yes. Sometimes life's greatest gifts arrive in the most unexpected packaging." Outside the window, fresh snow had begun to fall quietly. It was like a blank page full of new hope, covering the wounds of the past.